Okay, it's time for part 3 of the DS tutorials, and I don't know if I showed you this, but I made a sprite manager, and I guess I'll explain it now. Okay, the max sprites on the DS you can have is 128, and that's sprites. Tiles and stuff like backgrounds are different. These are for, like, I don't know, I'm still learning, but okay, so basically how my sprite manager is a singleton, and these are just basically how I always set up my singletons. And now I add a sprite by passing a pointer to a sprite, and I can get it by either the index or the name, and I can free it by either the index or the name of the sprite. And the sprite has a name, but right now I'm just doing it by index until I get to more advanced stuff, and you can update and render it. And so basically I just have a pointer to all my sprites, and I have a little sprite counter to see what sprite I'm on, and I'll show you how I'm doing this. Okay, there's my singleton stuff. I just basically my constructor set everything to null, and then for update is what I do is I go through. This is how many sprites are in the array at the current moment, so I just loop through all the sprites that are actually sprites, they're not null, and I update them. I do the same thing for render, and I call animate because my animate is my render function in my sprites right now. And then for free, when I do it by the name, basically I loop through all the sprites, and if the name's a name, I delete it and I set it to null, and then I set the index because then I use the index down here. So then I set I at the index, and I create a temporary pointer to the sprite that's currently the index, which would be null, and then the next sprite up, if there are any up, which, you know, obviously it'd be greater than, or I mean it'd be less than the current sprite, -1, or greater than 0. I'm trying to think for a second. Okay, yeah, that works. -1 because we just freed one, and I haven't subtracted it yet. I was trying to figure out why I did -1, but now I remember. And then then you set the sprite that's next up, if there is one, to this pointer. So that way it basically just pushes everything back in the array, and then you subtract the number of sprites. Same thing for the position, only I don't have to loop through all the names if I give it the position. And then for add, basically if it's less than the max sprites, I'll add it, otherwise I won't. Yeah, just so I don't, one sec, sorry, I'm moving, just so I don't kill myself by doing that. And then I can get it with either the name or the index again, and that's basically my sprite manager, and I'll show you how I use it. And I'll go over a little bit of tiling and backgrounds, which I'm not that great at right now, but okay, so I have my sprite manager, and I just get the instance and set it to a variable here, a pointer. And now I create my player, and I'll show you, I haven't showed you a lot of things yet, have I? My sprite class, in my sprite constructor, I add the pointer, this pointer to it in the constructor. And there's a few things, I still have to look up some things, but right now it doesn't matter at all to me if I'm doing this correctly. See, I know the sprite's being freed when I free the sprite. I already did a bunch of tests on that, so I'm still going, right? Alright, so and see, I was just testing it by going manager.free. I freed the first index and it worked. So I just create my player at 2020, and my player in my player class is basically, I call the sprite thing, and I give it the information for the image. I set it to the main window, and then I'll give it the X and Y, which are the position. And then so I initialize both the OAM manager, OAM things, and then into my player, and then I set the man palette, but I don't know what that does yet. I still have to look into some of the stuff. Then I set up the background, and yeah, I'll show you how I'm doing that in a second. First I'll show you this. Now basically I just scan keys, and then I update everything. Update the manager and update the OAM, which has the manager as well. Which I might just I might just add that update OAM into my thing. And one sec, I gotta pause for a sec. Okay. Now I'm gonna open my Pokemon game. And why is this? Oh, I didn't rebuild it. Sorry. Huh. Well. Okay. So I do realize that these aren't like real tutorials, but basically is what you're getting ideas of how you can set up some code for the DS. Because I mean, it'd be nice to have a reference like this. I have to look through all this stupid documentation of all this crap and all these examples and try to pick out useful information. Hurtful to the brain. Ah, so laggy. Oh well. You see, I have my animation timer set up. My animation is only 3 things, even though it should it should be oscillating right now, but it's not. But oh well. I'll show you how I set up the timer. Ooh, I don't know how much time I have. Well, I can't really tell. I've been 300 some seconds, so alright, so I'll just try to make stuff quick. My timer class basically just has not much in it. Basically is what I do is I get the elapsed time. I'll show you how I use it, I guess. So basically is what I do is to increment the frame. If the timer's ticks are greater than 2 times the time. See, because I've tried, I don't know, it's being retarded about, I tried getting it in seconds and doing it in the class, but this way just works better. Then if that happens, I reset the timer, I increment the frame, and I check to see if it's greater than 3, which is that. And if it is, I just set it back to 0. And that's how I animate my thing right now. And basically I'll show you. Alright, I mean, basically my timer is just an integer holder, and here's how you set up the timer. You set up the timer with this right here, timer start, and I use this clock divider 1024, and then 0 and null. This is a, I don't know what's 0 and null, but this is the callback function. What this will be is this will be a function. Oh no, this will be how many seconds it is to time out. So that's how many seconds. And this right here is a callback function, which is when it times out, what function it'll call. And then oh yeah, this is the timer, and it can be 0, 1, 2, or 3. There's 4 timers that you can have, and I'll show you how you do this. Int timer equals 0 because that's the timer that I just default use, obviously. And basically, to get the elapsed time, you just do timer elapsed, call that function, and you call it of the timer that you are currently using. And yes, sweet. And so here's how I did my crap, my background. I just had an integer background in it, all this crap, you can see it. That's what I did, and basically here's my map. I'll show you what my map is. And that's a map that I copied from a thing, but I'll show you one that I actually made in my map editor, which I have to change because I didn't realize something. But I made this. This is a 30 by 2 by 32, but I can make it any size I want in my map editor, and I'll show you that in a bit. But basically, it's just I set it all to zeros, and here's what I should have done. That's what I have to change in my editor. I'm not using this map right now, but yeah. Ha! Owned it. Okay, and was there anything? Oh yeah, I'll do this super quick. Pokemon.h. Alright, I got a little thing I gotta ask you. Basically, here's my Pokemon class. I gotta ask you, should I do this where I have functions, and these are just random Pokemon names I made up. I actually just typed in random letters, and then some of them like Lekon, I don't know. But should I have functions like this where it creates the Pokemon using the function, or should I inherit from the Pokemon class and make a class for each Pokemon? I don't know which would be better for stuff. I'm assuming that this one would be easier, but I'm just wondering if you guys have any input on how I should do that. Alright.